Good afternoon, everyone out there in YouTube land. My name is Jared. This is my channel, Mazda B3K. And in this video, this is our second episode in the For Your Information series. We're going to talk about how to raise and lower the spare tire on your Ford Econoline. This should be good for essentially any Econoline from the 1990s up through like 2018 or so. So let's get to it. Alright, so this is my 1997 Ford E-150 or Ford Econoline. It is StarCraft converted, but that does not change how the spare tire operates. And essentially this is an F-150. So a lot of common DNA there. So the spare tire is located down here, and it has to be lowered via a winch. And what often is the bedeviling? Oh wow, he really did that? Oh, that's poopy. I bet those wires are torched. Sorry, squirrel. It has to be raised and lowered via a winch. Now the fun part is often finding, number one, where do you access that winch? And then number two, what tool do you need? What's the procedure? Da, 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 da. So this is a 97, and in a 97, this is what you got to do. You need to open both of your back doors. It's an Econoline with opening doors. That's crazy, isn't it? The next thing is you need to locate the opening for the guide tube. And on these, it's going to be behind the 40% door or the secondary door, whatever you want to call it. You want to kind of get this sucker out. You may want to use some tooling, but you get that out. And then, baha, we have a hole. Now, if you shine a light down this hole, I know you can't see anything right now, you would see nothing because there's a blocking plate right there. And this is an anti-theft device. So Ford figured, you get through the locked door, then you have to know how to get this blocking plate out of the way, and then you can get access to the winch. Well, this is what controls that blocking plate right here. So this is supposed to be a wing nut. Mine is broken. So that is a T27 right there. Torx 27. And depending on how your threading is, you can get this out by hand. You may have to get after it with your Torx. Fought me pretty hard the first time, but I think I've cleaned the junk out. Alright, so you get this out of the way. That leaves this plate, but it's more than a plate. See, that's the piece of metal that was blocking you. Set that to the side. Now, if you look down here, you can just see it. That, you go through that hole, and that's how you get to the winch. So this is the Ford tool for raising and lowering the winch. It's got this, basically like this little foot at the end of it. And that is what engages the winch to raise it and lower it. So the way this one works is it does have a hinge. You fold this out, you throw this little bracket over it so that it holds stable, and then we can insert and either raise or lower. So this is what we look like when we're engaged. It will sneak in through here. This is how you're supposed to do it. You don't need to do anything to the bumper. So you can see we're folded out, that little bracket slid over so that we have full extension. And you need that extension because you need to crank. And they made it this long also because, like I said, the trucks use this same system, and Ford wanted to make it so you could have your tailgate down and still get your tire out. Alright, so if you turn to the left, turn anti-clockwise, counterclockwise, it will lower the spare. See, we can capture that. My winch is in pretty good shape, so I can kind of just turn this one-handed. But if your winch is not in good shape, Alright, so as you can see, there's the spare tire. Now, how you get the spare off, that's a little more annoying. You have to get a bunch of cable loose, so unwind it more than you need to get it on the ground. And then because I have a hitch in the way, I had to pull it off to the side, and then you have to take your hand, pinch the cable down next to the bracket, the holding bracket, and then kind of dip it and pull it up and out of the hole in the middle. It's kind of ridiculous, a little bit frustrating, but if you don't have a hitch in the way, it wouldn't be that big deal. But I do. They did a horrible job on that 7-pin connector. Grr. Alright, so that's how you lower it. Put it back on. Make sure you have fed the winch cable back through the middle of the tire. Then you turn it to the right. It's gonna, it's gonna be heavier because you're fighting gravity instead of working with it. And again, you can see it's starting to kind of buck. That's because it's getting caught on my hitch. So you just gotta kind of lift it up so that it's inside the hitch. And then you're gonna turn it until you start getting resistance. You kind of hear rubber kind of screeching. Like that. So that's about it right there. And that is acceptable. That's tucked in. One thing to check is, depending on your design configuration, you may or may not need to check for clearance with the exhaust. In my design configuration, that's not a problem. We have plenty of room. And there you go. And do check on the airing of your spares, guys. Mine had 0 pounds of pressure. It's completely flat. And what I probably forgot to do, what is a nice thing to do, is when you put this back on, here, I can show you that. There's the end of the winch there that catches the tire and pulls it up. What I probably forgot to do is put the valve stem facing down. That's handy so that if you use the quickie lube, or if you don't want to pull this thing down, you have the quickie lube, and they can air up all 5 of your tires versus just 4, because the valve stem's facing down, and if they have your vehicle in a lift or they're in a pit, they have access to it. So anyway, that's how you do it. It's pretty straightforward, but it can be confusing because it's poorly documented by Ford. One other thing, you may try to get your tool in there and it stick. And this is if you're using this video and you have a truck. On the van, they used this as the anti-theft plate, right here. But what they did on the trucks is they actually put what looks like a security lug, and it's directly in the winch, so it would be about there under the vehicle. And you need a special security socket type thing that you are supposed to put on the end of this tool to get it out. And if you have one of those in and you don't have the key, you can talk to your Ford dealer, but apparently there's like 12 different variants. So it's a pain. I have not personally tried this myself, but I have heard, take a 14mm socket that you don't care about, stick it on some extensions, get it on that security lug, beat the living snot out of it to jam it on there, and you can use that as your new security lug. Or you can remove the guide tube from under the vehicle and just get on that socket with some pliers or something like that and just pop the sucker out. Either or. It's up to you to accept whatever level of security you want to keep people from stealing your tire. Anyway, that'll do it, folks. Alrighty, folks, that's going to do it for this For Your Information episode. If you find it interesting, if you find it entertaining, please like, share, and subscribe. That helps to grow the channel and allows me to bring you more content like this. Please also leave a comment. I like to read them, I like to reply to them, and I like to learn from them. And remember, guys, I make the mistakes so you don't have to. I'll catch you guys next episode.